the museum that were holding them to get them, to return them to Kumasi and for them to be returned to their native place of abode. To this end, he commissioned the veteran historian and anthropologist Malcolm MacLeod and the indefatigable Abo Admandia to work towards the redemption of this regalia. Fortunately, after long and hard negotiations, in February, the Fowler Museum in Los Angeles returned some 7 artifacts which had been in their custody in the United States. Fortunately, again, in March, after another bout of serious and heart-wrenching negotiations, the British Museum and the Victoria and Albert Museum returned 32 items that have been in their custody since the time of the Sagrenti War, that is in about 1875 or thereabouts. Later on, intelligence radio tuned for that AngloGold Ashanti had in their custody some of the regalia that had been bought by a Swiss art collector and which had found their way eventually to the vaults of AngloGold Ashanti. He therefore commissioned our own Ivor Admandia to authenticate the items and indeed advise us to the propriety or otherwise of going to have them retrieved. Again, Ivor did not sleep on his horse. He went on a hard and tough negotiation, and then after duly authenticating them, he found them to be worthy of Ashanti extraction and of Ashanti origin. And therefore, negotiations ensued. Fortunately, AngloGold Ashanti lent a very listening ear, and they agreed to unconditionally return the regalia to Otumfuo for eventual safekeeping, so that it will come into his own abode. So it is indeed fitting that this being the third and last of the activities we planned at the beginning of this year should be crowned with the return of the regalia which have been in the custody of AngloGold Ashanti all these years. I would now invite Mr. Admandia, who was at the forefront of the negotiations, to say a few words before AngloGold comes over to do the presentation. Thank you very much.
Edward Eni, to South Africa. You had initiated discussions with the leadership of the multinational organization on some 19th century Asante objects that it had acquired through purchase. Other visits that followed indicated that some of the collection AngloGold had were Asante, and indeed of the era of the 1870s and 1900s. They had been taken or acquired from Kumasi, and by 1922, a Swiss art collector of West African art, Joseph Muller, had been part of this collection and had these in his possession. This collection of West African art numbered 350 and of the best goldsmithry in West Africa. The collection became part of the Muller's Barber Museum in Geneva. This whole collection was inherited from the Geneva Museum by AngloGold Ashanti in 2000, including the objects from Asante. As it was explained to you, Otumfuo, in your initial discussions with them, that is AngloGold, they were all put in AngloGold's Gold of African Museum in Cape Town, in South Africa, and later transferred to the Jalbert Arts Center in Pretoria. It was at the Jalbert Arts Center of the University of Pretoria that Edward Enin and I were, that we also, as your team, led the other stakeholders and held final negotiations to bring the 28 of these objects to Kumasi. The objects got in 3 days ago, and the AngloGold leadership got in this morning to present to you what you asked for. Some of these objects define the Asante called tangible heritage. Language staff, swords, palace security locks, rings and necklaces, proverbial gold wings of crocodiles, gold sandals, and others. In other ways, they define chiefship. I would like to express appreciation. We will like to express appreciation to all who helped in this. Star Assurance, which became our official insurers of the objects, and had to find counter reinsurers in the United Kingdom, and did so on gratis. The Reserve Bank of South Africa, which issued the export permit for these objects, and the great AngloGold team that is here, and those of West Wing Logistics and DHL that work behind the scenes and are not here. Great appreciation goes to the former president of Ghana, John Kufuor, as well as to DHL. I will now call on Mr. Honorable David Enim to introduce the delegation and also to say some few words.
Yo, Otu for chairman, Utimia. No man buy no AngloGold and penny for a DHD. Yes, on mobile presentation, no, and maybe your mama. The Tosono Bakune, Mr. Stewart Bailey, on the Chief Sustainability and Corporate Affairs Officer. The Tosumio, Ambassador Basu Sango, Senior Vice President, Group Sustainability. Enna Dr. Sumiasa Erica Subontin, Senior Vice President, African Non-Operated JVs. Your Tosu 9, Terry Strong, Senior Vice President, Africa. Your Tosu Num, Samuel Boachi Pobi, Managing Director, AngloGold Ashanti Obuasi. Now MD or Takwa, Takwa, no net number of Boazi. Your Tosu Senior Emmanuel Bedu, Senior Manager, Sustainability at Africa. Any war Edmond, or also Ebwa, a friend, Emmanuel Bedu, Ejma Oyem. Any war Rababia, or Wally Nanuya, but me name the Crudin to Mr. Never put in a friend, the funny case here in Yan. Also, Waha. And I'm also, it was then in Elizabeth Camp one nearby. To watch me by a massive at this point, no, my invite Stewart na on also the Casa Abato.
Your Majesty, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, His Excellency the President of the Seychelles, Wavel Ramkalawan, His Excellency Prime Minister Dlamini of Eswatini, His Excellency the former President John Kufuor, Nana Num, assembled guests, dignitaries, Memawo Maha. Please accept the greetings today from me, from AngloGold Ashanti, from our Board of Directors, from the Board of Directors of AngloGold Ashanti Ghana, including the Honourable Enan, who has just spoken so eloquently, and before him, Nana Otto Shribo II. Thank you. There is a South African saying, or at least a saying that we claim in South Africa, that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This undertaking that has brought us here today has been an exercise in togetherness, in cooperation, in collaboration. And it's been a collaboration with the Manchia Palace under the direction of His Majesty. It's been an undertaking with the expert guidance of Mr. Ajim Dua, who has shown us a deeper way to appreciate items that are not hard to appreciate very deeply. These are amazing, priceless regalia and artifacts that are beautiful to behold, but are also a tremendous testimony to the expert craftsmanship of the Asante man and of the people that forged these artifacts hundreds of years ago right here, likely in Kumasi. It was in 2000, as Mr. Ajim Dua said, that the former management of AngloGold, and this is before the company merged with Asante in 2004, decided that Europe was no place for these artifacts and they would like to bring them back to Africa. And so they purchased these and brought them and created a museum in Cape Town, which allowed many, many people to view these artifacts on the African continent, many of them for the first time in modern history. It is a deep honor for me today, a personal honor, to be involved in the project that brings these treasures here to Kumasi, where they were forged all those years ago. These pieces are an enduring reminder of the traditional links to gold mining here in this area of Ghana. And again, that testimony to craftsmanship and artisanship that dates back centuries. We are deeply honored and humbled to be part of this important moment in history to ensure that these cultural treasures are accessible not only to the Ashanti people, but to Ghanaians in general. Today also marks an important step in an ongoing cultural initiative that will continue to reinforce AngloGold Ashanti's long-term commitment to the Asante, to the Asante Kingdom, and to its people, and for our support of the preservation and celebration of such a rich and storied culture. Medasimo.